Welcome back, Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classics Last Non-Classic. This is episode number 360 and Doubleshot number 287. Okay? Two more books. First up, it's Uncanny X-Men, Superior, Volume 3, Walking from the Dream. Yes. All issues written by Colin Bunn, all the issues drawn by the Tracer Greg Land, with issue 15 co-drawn by Ibram Robinson. Yeah. I should say I call these issues 611 to 615. That's essentially what these issues are, but Marvel refuses to put these issues under the triple digit number because they are afraid people might be spooked off by how many issues the series has published. Despite the fact, yeah, it really has. Post-amount of issues. Now, despite the fact Phantom X is supposed to be part of this particular series, he is nowhere to be seen in this particular set of issues. Pretty much the character you see in the cover of the trade, plus of course Angels and Heroes looks for like one or two issues. This is the lineup you see the whole time. Simply put, this is Magneto's X-Men joining the Hellfire Club. No joke, that's essentially what they do. Now, Magneto resumes the post that he assumed back in the 80s as the White King. Sebastian Shaw is back in here, first time since, I think the last time we've seen was back in 80X. Yeah, it's been a little while since I've seen Sebastian Shaw. But basically, there's new Inner Circle. There's one character, I'm trying to remember his name. He's the White Bishop. Let's see if I can find him here. Yeah, they do an introduction. Oh yeah, Black Tom Cassidy. Yes, Black Tom Cassidy, the cousin of Banshee, and the longtime criminal partner of the Juggernaut, is the White Bishop. And they the Black Bishop, believe it or not, is Blair Raleigh. This is her right here. That's her. If I remember, I think she's from... I think it's been a little while since I've seen this character. This is not a new character. This is somebody from, I believe, Matt Fraction's run when the X-Men were San Francisco. Excuse me. The White Queen is Monette. She takes over that position. And Betsy Braddock, a.k.a. Psylocke, takes over as the Black Queen. Though she never puts on the Black Queen attire. Never. Though after the set of issues she leaves she actually quits Magneto's team and goes off on her own. Mystique is sent after Exodus for some reason by Magneto. As for Sabretooth, he actually points out something like, the last time I worked at the Hellfire Club, there were some kids running the place. And according to Miss Blair, according to Blair Riley, apparently they were sent to bed without their supper. But in actuality, Colin Bunn never bothered to give a proper explanation of exactly what happened to them. Because the last time the Hellfire Club was seen in the comic books, they were all run by kids. Basically, they're run by 12 and 13-year-olds. Yeah. Now, this is basically Colin Bunn basically just putting adults back in there. He probably didn't like the whole concept of kids running the Hellfire Club. That's probably the reason why he put adults back in charge. Which, okay. Throwing Black Tom Cassidy, that was actually really neat. It's actually been a little while since I've seen Black Tom Cassidy. I think the last time I saw him was at the end of Deadpool Volume 2. Yeah, I think so. I think it was last time I saw Black Tom Cassidy. He's actually drawn here really well by Greg Land, despite the fact he traces a lot of his stuff. And here's something I do not understand about this particular run. Despite the fact in other books, Betsy Braddock is always referred to as Betsy, for some reason Magneto refers to her as Elizabeth. Yeah, I know for a fact that's a real name, but as a common occurrence, yeah, it's really weird of how they were to do that. Sabretooth is done here really well. I gotta praise that. Monet doesn't really do very much except the fact she becomes the new White Queen of the Hellfire Club. Aside from that, and the X-Men team up to stop some stuff, I think it is. But I should point out this is the Pencil trade that collects issues from Uncanny X-Men, the most recent volume, because Marvel just ended this series. Though I don't think the series will be going on for long, because this is a series started by Stan Man Lee back in the 60s. Excuse me. So there is a slight possibility this series could come back. I hope it does. But as far as I can tell, there's probably no plans to bring this series back anyways. Despite the artwork, the writing here was pretty good. It's interesting style of storytelling. It's actually a little bit better than what Cullen Bunn had been doing at the start of this particular volume. Now, the next trade probably have the final 4 issues and the annual, which, by the way, the annual that was released for this volume is actually the 30th annual of the series. Despite the fact it would never actually put 30 on there, it says annual number 1. Despite the fact there have been, like, several others. Despite the fact the first annual was basically a reprint, the second time they had the number 1, that was a relaunch of the annual numbering. And of course you had the annual published under the Bendis run, and of course this run. But despite that, the issues here are actually pretty good. It's a pretty fun set of issues, and Magneto's team is fully established as base operations in the Savage Land, which is an odd place for them to set up anyways. Though I keep wondering though, oh yeah, there's also a flashback that takes place just prior to the start of this particular run, where it basically has Magneto recruiting Psylocke and Angel first as part of Magneto's team of X-Men. Also, as far as I can tell, outside of this book, they've only encountered the other X-Men teams like a couple times, like they did it in Humans vs. X-Men and Civil War II X-Men. Aside from that, that's really it. But this is still pretty good nonetheless. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. The only thing I think I have to point off because Greg Land. I should also point out that for the final 4 issues, Greg Land is not the artist of those issues. Thank you, God, for that. Alright, next up is Amazing Spider-Man and Silk, the Spider Fly Effect. This was a 4-issue limited series, well, originally published as a digital first, and then simply published as a regular printed series, which was 4 issues. Now, looking at this book, despite the fact it was released the same, this book was released just last year, the book actually takes place prior to the start of the current volumes for both Amazing Spider-Man and Silk. In the case of, well, it takes place between volumes 3 and 4 of Amazing Spider-Man, and between volumes 1 and 2 of Silk. One of the reasons why I can easily point that out is the fact that Spider-Man's symbol is not glowing. Yes, because currently, when you see Spider-Man currently in the comic book, his spider on its chest is glowing. So that means this takes place between volumes 3 and 4. Simply put, this is a fun little mini-series that Robbie Thompson, Robbie Thompson is the writer of the series, with, let's see, with Goffel doing the layouts, with the pencils by Todd Nutcuck, with Tom Gromit, who does issue 2. Todd Nutcuck is also the inker for these particular issues. Here's some sample artwork. Pretty much it's the story for this is that Silk and Spider-Man have accidentally time traveled to the events of Amazing Fantasy 15. The day they got their spider powers. And of course they meet Uncle Ben prior to him being shot by the burglar. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, after 53 years, actually 55 years of Spider-Man being around, the burglar has never been identified at all. Despite the fact his daughter did show up in the 90s and met Ben Reilly, had a brief relationship with him, and then she just went nothing to do with him. But this is before, and it's also referenced that basically Ben Parker used to be part of the military police. That's how he said. And who's the villains in this book? Hydra. why not? They're heavily in the movies, so why not actually throw them in the actual comic book? Okay, fine. This is just a fun little mini-series. Sorry about the barking, there's a dog here. The part of the house. This is really fun. I gotta praise Robbie Thompson for writing amazing. For this is not the first time he's written Peter. He also wrote him when Peter showed up in the Silk series, mainly in the first volume. Peter did show up for a good chunk of those first, almost the entire first volume. In the case of the current volume, I think he showed up maybe 2 or 3 times at most. But yeah, excuse me. Also, I gotta point this out. Silk is actually one of 2 female superheroes in Marvel Comics to wear a bandana mask like this. Shoot, right here. Yeah, she's actually one of 2 to actually wear this. Yep. The other one currently is Elektra, who actually is wearing that in her current book. Yeah, pretty much she's wearing her Netflix costume. I don't know why. Well, actually, here's her first one because, well, her second one basically is based upon her ultimate new version of her costume. But yeah, this miniseries is fun. I give it 9 out of 10. And I do recommend it for Spider-Man fans, especially people who are long-time Spider-Man fans. And some people keep thinking, though, if Dan Slott ever leaves, Robbie Thompson is a great choice to write Spider-Man because he writes a completely new character. And also, it's fun. And there's no mention of Parker Industries at all. I guess Timmy probably would like this very much. He would definitely love this series because there's no reference to Parker Industries at all. So, 9 out of 10. Alright, that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, which is episode 361 and Doubleshot number 288. Okay? But until then, I will see you there. Bye.